All right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, continuing our Nitro versus Raw, Monday Night Raw, Monday Night War series. This is going to be round three. I'm your host, Mike.
Frank, this is going to be a long, long boxing match between these two. And so, the September 18th, 1995, Raw and Nitro aired. Now, according to the network, it says September 21st. It was a
Right,
Thursday.
right. Same
Every
week, but
website
different.
says the 18th.
Yeah.
But Vince McMahon on that Monday Night Raw, that was, what was it, taped in August,
Mm-hmm.
20, so the end of August.
Ohio, yeah, it was in Ohio, right?
Several of them were in Ohio,
Yeah.
yeah. He keeps mentioning during that a special edition of Thursday Night Raw.
Right. I did find a couple of sites where people reviewed, and they did say that Raw was preempted. So it's
Yeah.
possible that it was preempted either way. It was the same week, so
Yeah, back then he was doing a bunch of them at the same time because in the upcoming weeks there's going to be several from Canton, Ohio. There's also going to be several from Grand Rapids, Michigan, where they just did a bunch of them back then and just rolled it out there.
well, I was just referring to the fact that it was either way, it was aired the same week, so it's that week's
Yeah,
Raw and that week's either, whether it was on Thursday, whether it was on Monday, doesn't matter. Same week.
it's still a war. Here we go. So Nitro came from Johnson City, Tennessee. Um, Usual announcers for all of them: Eric, Mongo, Bobby Heenan. We got Lawler and Vince on Raw. So let's go. Nitro kicked off before the matches ever started. Mean Gene was in the back as an ambulance had pulled up. Kevin Sullivan and the Giant got out. You know, this all stemming from Fall Brawl,
Right.
and they're using the Andre the Giant
Yep.
thing because
The son of Andre the Giant, yeah.
your
Mean Gene.
father would be disappointed at
Yeah.
you. I'm like, oh,
Why
geez,
would he
we
be
really.
disappointed if his major feud was with Hogan?
Thank you. He took him out.
Right. Why would he be disappointed?
I can't believe they ever did this. Thank God they stopped it.
Yeah, eventually they were just like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
So over the top though. So it's over the top.
It was just a little bit, but this was a good intro for them. And of course, if you go to the opening intro for Monday Night Raw, all they did was show the following week. They showed how on May 17th, 1993, 1-2-3 Kid had upset and beat Razor Ramon because
Right.
that's the opening match of Raw.
Mhm.
Opening match of Raw, Nitro, excuse me, was for it was supposed to be the American Males versus the Blue Bloods.
Right, yeah.
For whatever reason, and Nick Bockwinkel's not here at this evening. For whatever reason, the Harlem Heat, well, they beat the hell out of Bobby Eaton. Regal was nowhere to be found. They come to the ring and tell the American Males, we're putting the titles up against you.
Well, they beat the hell out of the Harlem Heat beat the hell out of these guys
The
and left
Blue
them.
Bloods.
Yeah, and it was like, all right, we're gonna put the title up.
And they took their match. And Eric and Mongo were like, is this match even going to hold up because Bockwinkel's not here? So, I mean, the match itself was okay. It was weird to see Riggs and Bagwell get the tag title shot. However, this
Right
went into their favor.
Yeah.
Because out comes Robert Parker, who's infatuated with Sherry.
I don't know if this was their debut though. Was this their debut?
American Males?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah,
Because remember, 95, a lot of tag teams were popping up and then leaving at the same time.
No more stars, no more
Stars and Stripes.
But I understand why Bischoff did this because Bischoff was, he had spoke about when he was doing Nitro, he wanted people to feel like anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a tag team championship match out of nowhere to happen and for a title change, that's big, especially opening match,
Yeah. Because, Booker T went for the pump handle slam on Bagwell after Sherry was going to hit him with a shoe, but Parker grabs her and carries her off. The pump handle slam gets reversed, and the American Males get the pin, and they now are the WCW World Tag Team Champions. Wow. And that's the first title change ever on Monday Nitro.
I completely forgot that the American Males beat Harlem Heat for the titles. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, because I don't. They didn't have it for long, and I know they didn't defend it on a pay-per-view, so it had to be another Nitro. There were a lot of there's going to be a lot of this going in the future because there were quite a few title changes on Monday Nitro.
Good way to kick off the show.
Yes. Now on the other side, we've got Razor Ramon versus the 1-2-3
Mm-hmm.
Kid, and this to me, I mean, Razor just flat out was just beating the hell out of the Kid.
Well, it was actually pretty cool though that the way that the match started. Kid went right
Mm-hmm.
after him, right out of the
Oh,
gate.
well, he had to,
Yeah.
and I mean, Razor is vowing that May of '93 is not going to happen again. Um, during the match, Vince believed that Razor was kind of also holding back on the Kid. I saw that a little bit, but I also saw that he was giving it his
Mm-hmm.
all, and of course during the match, Razor and Kid collide with the referee, which now is an open opportunity. And who comes calling? Dean Douglas again comes out of nowhere, hits a top rope splash on Razor, and 1-2-3 Kid crawls over and he gets the pin. And
Mm-hmm.
once again, he's beating the bad guy.
Yep.
To Kid's credit, I don't think he knew that Douglas had done that. Douglas is becoming quite a little pain in the ass right
Yeah,
now.
he is. He is. A
So,
nuisance.
but yeah, so 1-2-3 Kid wins in their opening match. Now, following Harlem Heat's loss, Mean Gene had interviewed Ric Flair, talked about how he'll be facing Brian Pillman later that night. He said how Fall Brawl Anderson had broke the code, and bringing an outsider into this business, and then Pillman for a short minute will be a member of the Four Horsemen coming up, which is bizarre.
Yeah, I thought he fit in though. I thought he actually fit in. He was a good horseman.
Yeah, kind of.
He was like the wild card.
Yeah. And then, of course, the next segment after the opening match on Raw is Dean Douglas is evaluating the match. He's giving everybody, grades to where it spells his name.
It's great. It's great.
If we would have had, I said this a bunch of times before. I wish that they would have just allowed Shane Douglas to be Shane Douglas in here, and it would have gone
Franchise.
better than this.
Couldn't do that though, because
Nope.
Vince has to put his stamp on and reinvent everybody. So, and this was 1995, maybe the worst year in the history of wrestling.
I believe so.
One of the worst years, yeah. So
I believe so. So now we go to the next match on Nitro's card. It was Johnny B. Bad versus Paul Orndorff with a awful entrance music.
Well, this was like his new repackaged. Like he's looking in the mirror. Like he's a narcissist. He's kind of like the narcissist.
Yeah, only the music was crap.
And I forgot that he was still kind of wrestling like part time at this point, because I thought that once he became an agent backstage, that was it. Especially after the incident with Vader.
Yeah.
But apparently he was working part time. I don't remember when he stops working part time.
I believe it's like the end of '95, because I don't remember seeing him in '96.
Yeah. We'll see as we go forward. I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, he was still working.
Yep, and he's fighting Johnny B. Bad, who received 9 stitches as a result of his match with Brian Pillman the night before. They were the opening match of Fall Brawl, 30-minute match, mind you. So, I mean, Bad is not coming in at 100%, in this match. Johnny B. Bad, during the match, had went for the pile driver on Orndorff. Orndorff flipped him. Bad tried to kind of make it into a sunset flip pin, but Orndorff got down, locked the leg, and Orndorff gets the win. So not only is he repackaged and part-time wrestler, he's still winning. So it's not like he's become a jobber at this point. That he's still kind of relevant on the roster, although nothing's going to come of it. And it's a shame because when Hogan got there, and I said this, one more Hogan Orndorff match I kind of wanted to see and see what WCW would do with it.
Yeah, it's just that Orndorff was, he was a shell of
way past his prime at this time.
Yeah, physically he was,
yeah,
nerve damage and everything wasn't the same.
Unfortunately,
but it would have been cool if things were, better circumstances, I should say. It should be of note that Vader is still in the Nitro intro at this point. They didn't take him out yet.
Not yet, but it's coming. So our next match for Raw to counter was Savio Vega and Bob Holly versus Kama and Tatanka, the $1 Million Corporation.
Yeah.
And the only thing, besides the fact that you got Savio and Bob Holly teaming up, is the fact that the amount of time that the referee spent holding Bob Holly back was ridiculous in this match. because to me, it felt like more than half the match that the referee is focusing on keeping Holly out of the ring and the double teaming of Kama and Tatanka. It just, to me, was a little ridiculous to a match that's already kind of pathetic. At least in my view, I didn't care for this match.
I didn't care for this match either.
And of course, Holly goes for a cross-body drop on Kama, who reversed it into a pin. Luckily, he didn't kill him when driving his head into the mat. And Kama and Tatanka get the victory. So for the time being, the $1 Million Corporation is still kind of going strong. But they're going to shit the bed come the end of 95, beginning of 96 anyway. So the next thing for Nitro, the next segment was they were showing how Savage was doing some bench pressing on the scene. They were by Baywatch.
Right.
And how Kevin Sullivan showed up and was attacking him, choking him out with the bar and whatnot. And of all the people to come and save him, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yeah. That was weird. And I mean, he's even saying, he goes, Sullivan's, gone crazy. And not newsflash, Flair. He stopped. He hit crazy a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so then following that, Mean Gene interviewed Randy Savage in the ring. Of course, Savage said, Flair, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. I like what he said about Hogan, too. He said he was a bad judge of character.
Yeah, well.
And he was right about Luger and Jimmy Hart, too. In retrospect, yes. He was right about them.
He really was, because eventually,
Luger does join up with the Dungeon. Not in an official capacity, but so.
No, just kind of joining into the fight.
Yeah.
And
should have listened to Macho Man.
Of course, Luger came out, and Luger asked him, "Don't you want to be world champion as well?" And of course, Savage said, "Yeah, but Hogan's pretty much being his second in command at this point." Which I'm like, bro, you've done this before. Take him out. You can do it.
Well,
we know it's coming. Well, we know Savage will be champion soon, so. And then, of course, Savage challenged Luger and then slapped him. I do know in the upcoming weeks on Nitro that there will be a match between the two that if Luger loses, he has to leave WCW. And obviously, we know that's not going to happen. But the animosity between these two guys is really is getting up there. And, of course, Savage and Luger fight each other. That's a pretty good match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw whatever storyline you want in there, man.
It was cool to see. It was cool to see because when Luger was in WWF at the time and Macho Man was there. Macho Man was kind of like I guess part time really at that point. So they didn't really have they might have wrestled
only a house show.
Yeah. So it's cool to see it now.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it when he was the narcissist. I was kind of hoping for it.
It would have been good, but
hated part-time Savage because he had so much more to give and he could have helped. I mean, we've covered that.
But he's here now.
Yeah, exactly. So
this timeline,
the big boys play.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to see that match many times over the next few years. So, and then of course, Raw's next segment was Razor Ramon addressing the whole thing with Dean Douglas, how that feud is going. So now you get the main event for Nitro, which is Ric Flair versus Brian Pillman.
Mm-hmm.
And the match was pretty good, and it was good to see Pillman now getting elevated, fighting main event guys, especially Ric Flair. Because, I mean, the man's paid his dues over the last 5, 6, 7 years, from the Cruiserweight division to the tag team division, and now he's up where I think he belongs.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, though, he's not going to get the victory. Flair puts the figure 4 on Pillman and gets the submission like Flair can do. Of course, after the match, Flair grabbed the mic. He's looking for Arn Anderson. That feud is far from over. So, but it was a good way to end Monday Nitro.
They did say something though. I think it was Bobby Heenan's like something's happening in the back, and then they just.
Yeah. And then it goes, you're right. Something is happening in the back. We'll see you guys later. Well, that just gets replaced later on with 35 guys.
We gotta go.
Oh, here comes Sting. We gotta go.
We gotta go.
So, unfortunately, we're not done with Monday Night Raw because Nitro had 3 matches, Raw had 4. But this match, I won't even count it really as a match. It was Brian Walsh, future #1 contender. No, I'm just kidding. Against Jean-Pierre Lafitte.
I guess who won?
Now, they showed how Jean-Pierre had stolen Bret Hart's jacket, the sunglasses from the kid. This is where I'm agitated because Bret Hart's talents are
They
being ruined
wasted
at
him.
this
They wasted
point.
the whole. They wasted Brett's whole year in '95.
They did. Him and Undertaker, I've said this. Both guys were wasted.
What was no? Brett was worse.
Brett
Brett
was
was
more
worse.
because you got him not only fighting again against Lawler, but against Isaac Yankem, Jean Pierre Lafitte,
Hakushi,
Hakushi, which the Hakushi match wasn't bad.
and they've had him fight back on it again. It's like
Yeah, but this feud, it didn't make any sense because I didn't see them
garbage.
pushing Jean Pierre
No,
Lafitte.
it was trash. Trash.
So why Brett was facing him, I have no
Trash.
idea. And of course, during the match, Bret Hart was on the phone talking about it, how they're going to be facing each other at the
Mm-hmm.
In Your House pay per view. Um, because he was on the set of Lonesome Dove at the time. Um, yeah, that feud was just complete garbage. And of course, Lafitte, hits a cannonball from the top rope, gets the victory. Well, I didn't see that coming. So he's the victor. And then, of course, we have the main event set up by Gorilla Monsoon, non-title match, because you don't want to, jeopardize the tag titles before In Your House. Owen Hart and Yokozuna facing Men on a Mission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only time the fans got involved in this match, in my opinion, was when Yoko and Mabel got in the ring. And
Yeah,
I love how this is
giant.
what. Go ahead. Okay.
No, I was thinking it was the two giants squaring off.
Yeah. And I love how this is around the time that Yokozuna all of a sudden knows English. Because you could see him mouthing to Owen, get that fat bastard. And,
Yeah, but they didn't. But they didn't acknowledge it until later on. I think until he turned
not
baby.
until he was a fanfare, yeah.
Yeah.
Once he was feuding with Vader,
This was
then
weird.
all
As
of a
heel.
sudden he could
This
speak
was.
it.
It was. Well, yeah. It was heel versus heel in this match. I forgot that Men on a Mission continued to still be a tag team after Mabel went solo.
Part time.
Yeah, for some reason I just forgot it. So
Yeah, they really didn't do too much.
I like how I forgot what was it that said it. I think it was Vince that said, "Who could forget Mabel winning the King of the Ring?" And I just thought to myself, I would like to actually forget that.
Everybody wants to forget it.
Yeah. So King Mabel.
I mean, you tried to make another big heel superstar, and it didn't work with Mabel.
Right. Yeah, it didn't work.
So
This match was just it was all right. It was
quick, interesting side note. I did find this out as I read it, and I was trying to find the video, and I couldn't. That when Yokozuna was known as Coquina Maximus back in '92, he fought Andre the Giant in a tag match.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know.
Unfortunately, that's Andre. That's bad, Andre. But
right.
yeah, those two guys locked up, but I never knew that. So, like I said, this match, the crowd didn't really get into it until Yoko and Mabel got in the ring, and even when they had the showdown, it was pretty impressive. Owen with a drop toe hold and a Yokozuna leg drop give them the victory. Of course, they have to have the momentum going into the main event In Your House.
Awesome.
Men on a Mission lost their momentum a long time ago, even though they're trying to grasp at straws here to keep them relevant. It's really not it's not working. So I think anybody else other than Mabel should have won the King of the Ring. Hell, I'll go as far as saying that the British Bulldog should have could have been the King of the Ring winner and done the turn and then feuded with Diesel.
Yeah, it was crap.
But it really was. This is 1995.
Yeah,
and this is all now because this was so bad. This is the last time the King of the Ring winner is going to get a shot at SummerSlam until 2002, which is then what's the point of really doing the pay-per-view? Other than you knowing that person, their career could possibly escalate from that, which most of the guys did except for Billy Gunn.
The one Billy Gunn.
So, yeah. And then, of course, after the match, we had the comments from Shawn and Diesel about the upcoming main event at In Your House, followed by Vince interviewing Jim Cornette about the In Your House match. So we're all set up for the triple header at In Your House.
Mm-hmm.
2 chaps for 4 straps. Unfortunately, we know how that goes. So before we give our thumbs up or thumbs down, the ratings for this, Nitro received a 1.9 for this one, while Raw received a 2.7. Now, according to the ratings, Raw won. According to us,
it gives a Nitro, yeah.
Nitro gets the win. One more for the good guy.
It's worth mentioning too, because we didn't mention this earlier. Hogan wasn't on Nitro because he got the beating from the Giant. He had broken his neck. So
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
gone to the hospital.
so yeah, so and there was no they said there was no time for him. I think they said they would give an update on WCW Saturday night that weekend.
Hmm.
Um, that may be why the ratings suffered. Not having
Probably.
Hogan might have hurt them. But all in all, I just still think it was a better show. And it's interesting, like we've only watched the first, few episodes of Nitro. And the common consensus is that uh Raw or WWF was better until the NWO. But rewatching at least these first three episodes,
That's
I'm
not the
enjoying
case.
Nitro. I'm enjoying Nitro better.
Exactly.
Nitro's
I am.
actually a better show the first few weeks than Raw. We'll see how that goes going forward because I don't remember. It's been so many years. But
Well, I know the following week we're going to get the debut of the Disco Inferno.
no
They
disrespect.
started bringing out a lot more young talent. Oh, don't worry. Just like they did the Sabu and the other one, Disco is
Yeah.
not going to be victorious.
But so far it's 2-0 on our end. We both have the same score. Eventually
Yes.
I'm sure I'll give Nitro a win and you'll give WWF Raw a win and vice versa. But for now it's still 2-0 on both sides. So
To
for
me,
those keeping score.
it depends on how good your opening match is, your segments, and how in your main event. Now, on Raw's side, you had two heels going at it, which to me is not something I wanted to see. This was a Gorilla Monsoon. Fans want
Well,
to see this. No,
it
we
could be
don't.
it could you could do a good job doing. You have to have the right two heels. If you've
Yeah,
got Men on a Mission, nobody cares. So
no.
that was it.
Where on Nitro, you have Brian Pillman, who, I mean, we don't know that he's on his way out eventually.
Mm.
So if you watch this for the first time, you believe that it's quite possible that he is being elevated. He's being pushed. He's in a main event with Ric Flair that was pretty good. So main event wise, Nitro definitely got it. And of course, their opening match with the surprise of the tag team title victory, I got to give it to them there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yep, 2-0 Nitro in our book.
All right. Well, that's our review. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.